Judgment. Final judgment. Final
What is up, everybody? Welcome into Final Judgement. Tony Jigsaw Cutillo here, as always, brought to you by Heat Ratio Sports, Win Daily Sports, and all our good friends at SEO Brand.com. Tons to talk about. Listen, again, I do these shows because, number one, I love talking to the audience. Number two, I love talking about sports. But the material is just endless out in the sports universe. It really is, especially in Philadelphia. I had to rep the Sixers right now, come off a big win, right? Big win. I'm not saying we don't expect them to beat the Sacramento Kings, but obviously Joel Embiid getting things done. And I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't really even followed the Sixers as closely yet this year because there's been so much going on. Obviously with the Philadelphia Phillies and from the World Series run to the offseason acquisitions to the Philadelphia Eagles just being dominant in the NFL. We're going to get right into that. But we're also going to get into some interesting stats. I tell you, I want to bring things to you guys that are very interesting that I get, luckily from my media connections. From running a PR company, I get a lot of press, a lot of releases, and a lot of interesting things to where we're going to talk about athletes pay per minute. You may be surprised at some of these top players who get paid per minute. Also going to talk about the new awards, right? We got new awards, new named awards in the NBA. It's not the MVP award anymore. It's the Michael Jordan award. Then there's also the Jerry West award for Mr. Clutch. So very interesting to see what David Silver's been able to do, which I really like. I really like what they're doing right there. But right off the bat, let's give a shout out, rest in peace, to Mississippi State coach Mike Leach, dies at 61. Unfortunately, moment of silence. Listen, not everybody wants to lose a loved one, and obviously things happen, and unfortunately they happen at the most inopportune times. But looks like he suffered a massive heart attack. Just never been able to be brought back. Family was called. Obviously, got to make that terrible decision, right? It just shows you how life is so precious, right? Life is so precious, man. Every minute of the day is so precious, and you just never know. Are you going to wake up the following day, right? People say to me all the time, "Hey, Jigsaw, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm good." Every day above ground's a good day, right? So I say that all the time because you just never know. He was a great personality, obviously a long-standing coach, great to the kids, great to the people. But yeah, man, it's just it's such a shame. Hate hearing about it, especially with this time of year. But just an overall good guy. I know everybody says that, but this dude was a really good dude, man. He really was. Also, just give a shout out the way it was handled. I think it was handled pretty well, throughout the media. It didn't get crazy. It wasn't reported anything that, wasn't true or, a little over the top. I think they did it the right way. And, they kept things short, sweet, and private for the family, probably with their wishes as well. So shout out, to the family out there of Mike Leach. Obviously going too soon, the age of 61. And speaking of college football, I was going to do this own segment, and I'm going to be kind of like all over the place. 'Cause I decided there's so much to talk about. Let's talk about it all. Deion Sanders, man. Like, I, you know, I'll be honest with you. I don't understand all the hate for Prime. I don't. You know, I've said this before and I'll say it again. At the end of the day, you need to invest in you, right? It's all about you, right? And what I mean by that is, yes, we are all 100% lying to ourselves if we ever say that we don't keep ourselves in mind, our direction in mind, right? We're lying to ourselves because guess what? When Coach Prime does what he needs to do, his family's taken care of, right? So we all know that. That's what we do. We do things for our families first. And when we do things for ourselves, what I mean by that is, taking care of ourselves in a sense of making sure we're on the right path to success, that indirectly affects positively our family, right? So all this talk about Coach Prime leaving Jackson State dry, Coach Prime leaving HSBU Prime, like all that stuff is ridiculous, man. In my opinion. Now, again, people will say, "Well, Jigsaw, you're not there. You don't understand." Listen, I'm not even. I don't want to get into all that. All I know is this is what I know: that he took a small university that barely had any funding at all, and he self-funded things like built locker rooms, paid for uniforms, brought recruits in, got this team exposure to a program that people did want to go to. Yes, there's always going to be, and shout out to Joy Taylor because she hit it right on the bat on Speak Up when she on Speak when she said that guess what? People leave schools every single year. Whether Prime was there or not, things would happen. So you can't just blame that 100% on Prime, right? But what he did was he went in there and he changed the culture. He changed the environment and he put that school on the map. And I say this all the time, man. Like at the end of the day, sometimes I've been through this, man. I've been through this. I coach, I'll be straight up transparent. Everybody knows I coach soccer. I decided 3 years ago that I was going to take my program to another organization. And guess what? I wanted to bring everybody with me. And guess what? All the people, the certain people that said they were behind me and that were with me when I did it, guess who was against me? Those same people. Guess who were the most hated people in my life? Those people. They were the people that were supposed to be there. The people that were, oh, yeah, we're right behind you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Guess what? At the end of the day, they weren't there. Okay. I did what was best for me, my family, and my kids. Okay. I built a program up and I took the program somewhere else. It's not my fault that those people and those parents couldn't get their heads out of their own ass. Okay. And they honestly, guess what? They impacted their son in a negative way because that team broke up. It never went anywhere. And I'm still with the team I'm with right now. Okay, but I never would have done that. Okay, if I would have stayed there. But that's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, Deion, he did what Prime needed to do. Okay, if you didn't think that he was going there to get a more prestigious job, then it's irresponsible. Of course, that's what every college coach wants to do. Listen, most college coaches want their shot at the NBA or the NFL. That's what they're coaching for, in their opinion, right? You can't hold that against them. They have to stay there. They can't leave ever. I mean, come on, man. Like, at the end of the day, you have to think about you. My man Rich checking in says, life is short, bro. Tomorrow is a promise. You talk about Mike Leach. Absolutely. Says, I don't get it either. Brought Jack State in irrelevance and left it that way. Better than it was, but with a really good staff. Yes. Yes. Right? Got Strahan to donate money for Jackson State. Who else was doing that? Right? Same people who say support it, then as soon as you turn your back, the knife goes in. And that's the problem. 100%. It happens all the time. Happens all the time. So, shout out again. He says you can't hold anyone for trying to better themselves. I agree, Rich. And shout out to Coach Prime. I was always a Prime guy, right? A lot of people hated Prime. They didn't like his swagger. They didn't like his attitude. I love Prime. Okay, one of the first guys ever to play both sports, right? One of the first guys ever to play both sports. I watched a committed guy in prime time get off a plane, okay, after a football game, okay, after a 4 o'clock football game, and then get on a plane and fly, okay, and fly to get to Atlanta, to get to the baseball stadium in uniform and play in a baseball game for the Atlanta Braves. Come on, man. Like, come on. What other kind of mentor you want for your kids? That dude, no matter what you say, that dude was real. He was authentic. I don't care what anybody says, man. Listen to that guy. I respect the hell out of him. He's the one guy that finally holds players accountable. Okay, doesn't buy into all that bullshit culture. Okay, and what I mean by culture is the narrative now that everybody has to be entitled, and you're not allowed to yell at these kids, and you're not allowed to push them. You're not allowed to drive responsibility and accountability into them, man. I mean, come on. This is what you want. This is what you want, man. It's called tough love, right? This is how you get these kids to be men and to be women and to be responsible. That's how they grow up. That's how they grow up, right? Sometimes you have to teach them lessons, and they may not like it, right? They may not like it, but you know what? They're going to be better for it. And I respect it about Prime. I do. Rich says he talked the talk and walked the walk. My man Leonard checking it says Deion was doing them a favor by being there. Of course. Little program. He stepped in and put them on the map. So yeah, shout out to Prime. And again, I loved every minute. Now let's get into some Philadelphia Eagles talk here, man. Let the 12-1 Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. Every time I turn on the TV, somebody's talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. Somebody, right? Right now, the media is using the Philadelphia Eagles as a measuring stick in order to elevate their social game. Okay? Think about that. To elevate their social game. I've come on here before and I've told you about the trolls that go on Twitter and the moronic robots that tweet for specific people that go out and they say dumb shit just to get a rise and a reaction. They don't really mean it. They're just trying to get an audience, right? They're trying to get an audience. At the end of the day, they're trying to get paid. That's what they're doing. Look, I got an audience. I got 1,000 views. Great. I had 1,000 views because I said that Jalen Hurts sucks. I got 1,000 views because tomorrow I said Jalen Hurts the best. Maybe if I buy into all the Philly fans, maybe I could go to a tailgate and buy into all the Philly fans, maybe they'll follow me. And then maybe they'll bump up my social media profile. And then maybe I'll get another sponsor. That's what some of this shit is, man. And it's sickening. It makes you want to throw up. Okay, if you have an opinion, stick with it. Stop flopping. Okay, stop flopping. Okay, and all the national pundits out there and the national perspective that when they're just jockeying onto us because they need their social media profile elevated because they want to buy in either on the wagon or off the wagon just so they get a rise. It's sickening. Again, it's sickening. Stop. We don't want you. Get this. We don't want you. We don't need you. Right? At the end of the day, guess what? The Philadelphia fan base, that the OG Philadelphia fan base, and when I say the OG Philadelphia fan base, that's shot out 100% to my man Gail from 4th and John. Okay? Gail, Evan, Trox, E-Rock, right? 100%. That the OG. Okay, the OG of the Philadelphia fan base. And the reason why I say that is because guess what? We don't need to be talked about, okay, by specific people to elevate our game because those dudes, what they did was they showed you on Monday Night Footballs, on Sunday Night Footballs, okay, even in the World Series where they got media to show up at their tailgate, okay? These are average people because they are so passionate and they do it the right way. They didn't need another national person to put in a good word for them. They didn't need to go on and kill a team so they could get some media buzz. No, they did it because they're authentic. So guess what? We don't need We don't need you. Like, please, everybody hear that. We don't need you to go on your show and elevate us up and talk about Rocky and the Rocky statue when you have no idea what the movie's even about. We don't need you. Okay? We have us. And this is the best fan base in America. It's the best fan base in America. Okay. It is crazy at sometimes. It makes you want to punch a wall sometimes. It really does. With every throw and every play that either Jalen Hurts stinks or Jalen Hurts is great. Jalen Hurts is the MVP. Jalen Hurts deserves the worst player in the MVP in the NFL award. Okay. Yes, sometimes I want to put my head through a wall. But at the end of the day, we're the most passionate, educated fan base in America. Bar none. Bar none, man. Bar none. Yeah, Rich says Nick Wright's hot takes are dumb. Cowboys are better than the Eagles. I mean, listen, these guys, I understand that they want to get around. I just like I'm to the point now, right? And I want to ask this. Rich says Eagles don't need to be hyped up. Kelsey said best, hungry dogs hunt better. Exactly. We don't need all of it. We don't need any of it, actually. We don't need any of it. But what other team has dominated the NFL like the Philadelphia Eagles? It's a simple question, man. It's a simple question. Like, you know, we heard consistently, and we continue to hear that we haven't played anybody, right? We continue to hear that nobody is, nobody has a easier schedule. We have a cupcake schedule, right? Things go our way. The narratives are getting old, and the analytics that support these narratives are non-existent. And that's one of the biggest issues I have, right? It's non-existent. Like you could have got me in week 4, in week 5, in week 6. We're in week 12, we're week 13, we're week 14. I mean, as these weeks continue to move on, we sit there and we think to ourselves, what other narrative can you come up with? Right? What's going to be the next one? What's going to be the next one? We have the most dominant team in the NFL, right? Is there any question about that? Like, I don't give a shit who we played. Like, we can spin the narrative any way we want. Okay? I just watched the Kansas City Chiefs team almost blow a 21-point lead to a team that hasn't been able to score worth a lick, and to give Russell Wilson an MVP performance, and we're still talking about the Chiefs. Okay? I haven't seen the Eagles do that. They had one flaw, a Washington Commanders game at home, which they still could have won. One flaw. And every team in the NFL will have that one game every year. Every year. Okay? But nobody is talking about that. Nobody. We are consistently making excuses for every other team except the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Except the Philadelphia Eagles. We're just not giving them their due. And when I mean me, not me, right? Not you. The people that are watching this show, the people that are listening to this show, they understand and they agree with me that the Eagles are the most dominant team in the NFL, right? And Rich makes a great point. Dallas almost lose to the Texans, 4th and goal. Listen, if their play calling didn't stink, Dak threw that pick at the 30-yard line. Okay? That game was over in Houston. They gave that to the Cowboys. They gave it to the Cowboys, right? Think about it. That's why that's a one-win team out there. I get it. Okay? But they should have lost that game. They should have lost that game. Nobody's even talking about. Who's talking about Dallas almost losing to Houston? Anybody? Anybody? Anybody talking about Patrick Mahomes being loose with the ball and almost giving up a 21-point lead in Denver, okay, against the Broncos and almost losing that game? Anybody talk about that? No. But what we're going to continue to hear about is why the Eagles aren't the best team in the NFL. Why the Eagles aren't as good as everybody else. Why the Eagles are only as good because of their soft schedule. Come on, man. Like again, okay? Again, right now, Jalen Hurts, most flawless quarterback in the entire league, bar none. Bar none. Who's better? Tell me who's better than Jalen Hurts. I need to know. He's 22-3, 22 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Not one NFL quarterback is more careful with the ball this year than Jalen Hurts. Putting up historic numbers when we talk about 20 touchdowns through the air, 10 touchdowns on the ground, 20 plus, 10 plus, right? Historic numbers. Cam Newton, 2015. Guys that just had ridiculous years that we'll never forget. Lamar Jackson, 2019, right? Again, these are the things that nobody is talking about enough. It's the weirdest year for me because every show that you watch and every program that you dive into, it's the same thing. It's what can we come up with on why the Eagles shouldn't be the best team in the NFL instead of, damn, the Eagles are that good, right? That is the narrative. It's what can we come up with on this show to explain why the Eagles shouldn't be 12-1? What can we say? What kind of stats do we have? They pull so much shit out of their ass, okay, to try to control this narrative every single week. And I'm so tired of it. Listen, you win football games in the trenches. We've said that before. Offensive line, defensive line. You're the best O-line in football. You're the most sacks in the NFL. The most sacks in the NFL. Okay. I know we never, and I was one of them. Okay. I was one of them. Never want to give any credit to Jonathan Gannon. Still want to kill Jonathan Gannon week in and week out. But he's got the best defense in the NFL when it comes to pressure, when it comes to sacks. Okay. Hassan Reddick does it again. 10 plus. Does it again. Brandon Graham still somehow, some way defies the odds and shows he don't age. Still getting to the quarterback. Still stripping the ball and still laying them down. It's amazing to me what he's been able to do. Rich says he's getting no credit, just like the team. Hurts runs more than passing, then throws for 380. This O-line is the best in football. It's bar none the best in football. There is not one offensive line that I would rather have in the NFL. And that is no bias, nothing. That is from a typical NFL fan. That's what that is. Watching the game, breaking it down. There's not a better O-line in the game. Now, Patrick Mahomes, I get it. Everybody wants to talk about no Tyreek Hill. What is Patrick Mahomes been able to do? He's on pace for 5,400 yards and 46 to 48 touchdowns. I get it. I do. I get it. I understand. But don't you have to put a little stock into the difference of last year to this year? Don't you have to put those intangibles into play, right? And what I mean by that is, looking at the overall numbers just can't be it, right? Just can't be it. It's funny. You would hear about the MVP all the time, and the same thing. My man, Coach Dave, would always tell me, you have to win the division to win the MVP, right? No, so that narrative shot because we're going to win the division, right? Is there any doubt in anybody's mind that we win the NFC East? No, come on, no way. No way, no how do we not win the NFC East, right? So Jalen's already got that behind him. But I think anybody can look at the way he ended to the way he started. And he's just continued to excel. He's continued to excel. As always, make sure this is the Final Judgment right here with Tony Jigsaw Cutillo. Make sure you're following on YouTube at the Final Judgment. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're hitting that like button. As always, brought to you by and powered by Heat Ratio Sports, Win Daily Sports, and sponsored by our good friends at SEObrand.com, the home where all analytics live. Rich says this team can either hit you with a quick strike or grind out 12 to 14 play drive that can win in any fashion. And that's the thing, they can hit you from anywhere, man. They can hit you from anywhere. No matter what, whether we run the ball 30 times and speaking of running the ball, man, can we give a shot at the Miles Sanders? We got to give a shot at the Miles Sanders, man. Again, I'm sorry, but we all killed Miles Sanders. For the simple fact that he couldn't stay on the field, and we were trying to figure out every single excuse we could in the book on why they wouldn't rely on Miles Sanders to be their number one back. Well, they're proving that to be true this year, and they're giving him every opportunity, and he's answering every call. He really is, right? First time we have 1,000-yard receiver in AJ Brown since Jeremy Maclin, right? Since Jeremy Maclin. Think about that. Think about that. Jeremy Maclin. We're going Jeremy Maclin. So, that's why I say this team is so special. We also weren't, when we won the Super Bowl that year, we weren't expected to be there, right? So it was really kind of glorious to see us go in and just again obliterate everybody in front of us, even the New England Patriots. This team, we had aspirations. I just don't think we all thought it was all going to come together like this, because again, we all had the question marks of the quarterback and obviously the head coach. Listen, the head coach gave us some question marks. He gave us question marks, and rightfully so. He's really turned into, one of the best coaches in the NFL. You got to give a shout out to Jeff Lurie, man. Got to give a shout out to Jeff Lurie for picking the right guy. Him and Howie Roseman. Let me ask you something else too. About Howie Roseman. I think Howie Roseman's getting a little too cocky. I gotta ask you guys this question, guys, girls. But when he went to New Orleans and he or Houston, wherever it was, I forget what stadium it was. I think it might have been Houston. Yeah, I think it was Houston. When he went in there and said, "Yeah, I got your effing Super Bowl," and now every time we see him, he's chewing a gum with the top button unbuttoned and kind of strutting around. Like, all right, Howie, okay, yeah, you've made some really good moves and you've done really well, but let's ease up a little bit, right? I just think he's getting a little too cocky. It's my opinion. I just think he's getting a little too cocky. It's okay to be confident, but I think he's got to just let's bring the reins in a little bit, okay? Let's bring the reins in a little bit. And let's go from there. Speaking of reins, off topic here. What about Vince McMahon? Like, any of my wrestling fans out there, Vince McMahon, now all of a sudden there's whispers that, he may want to come back, right? Everything going the way it is right now with Triple H running the asylum and bringing people back, and the show's actually got some really good legs on it. It's got some good ratings. It's finally, become watchable again, and people are enjoying the product. Now all of a sudden Vince wants to come back. Like, at the end of the day, really, Vince wants to come back. Now, listen, Vince, you had your swan song, man. You just need to go relax, drink some Mai Tais, have some fun, watch the program. Let your son-in-law do his thing, man. Let him do his thing, because the product is fantastic right now. It really is. It doesn't need you right now, man. We appreciate what you've done and how you elevated into a global enterprise. We really do. But right now, I think it's best for business if you just stay where you're at and let Triple H continue to run the show. So getting back to Howie, or getting back to Jalen versus Mahomes. Again, what Mahomes has been able to do at 27 years old is remarkable. And he obviously, he is the future of the league. He is the torchbearer, right? He's taken that torch from Tom Brady. He is the guy, right? He is the guy. But at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, Jalen is right there. But for this year, and for this year only, Jalen Hurts is the MVP, not Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry. There has to be, and we all have to remember too, this is a new system too. It's a points weighted system where I think, there's going to be 5 guys on the ballot, or, 5 guys that vote. It's a really weird dynamic this year. So it's going to be interesting, right? It's going to be interesting how this goes down. But for my money, it's got to be Jalen Hurts. My man Ivan checking in says, late to this, but boo Eagles because, again, Ivan is a Minnesota fan, which is fine. Okay, skull all day. I get it, Ivan. No big deal. But here you go. He's unbiased. Says Jalen Hurts, 100% MVP. Right? I can't disagree. Until somebody proves to me otherwise. Until somebody shows me another person that has been more flawless. Okay, if that's even possible, than Jalen Hurts, then I'll listen to it. But Jalen Hurts has been the most flawless quarterback in the entire NFL this year. And that's your MVP. That's what your MVP is. Rich says Triple H has put a product on that is watchable and interesting storylines. Yes, Triple H has finally brought it all back. Finally brought it all back, right? Finally brought it all back. And just so you know, what I want to do going forward, with these shows. Like I said, again, it's a really crazy and busy time. It's December. We're 2 weeks for Christmas, right? We got the holidays coming up, the new year. I really want to do smaller segments for these shows, and a lot of the interaction, even though we're live right now, I would love that interaction to be on YouTube, in the comments back and forth. And then again, like I said, I would love to have that interaction comment. And then like whatever my goal is, whatever that comment of the week it would be, I would love to get that comment. Okay. Whoever made that comment, I'd love to give them an invite to the show and to come on the following week's show live and explain to me that comment. I would, and the audience, that's what I'm leaning towards. And again, what I mean by smaller segments is like this segment, Jalen Hurts is the MVP, not Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to start having profiles, okay, for, when it comes to my love of hip hop. Okay. I'm a hip hop guy, love hip hop. And, 2023, in August of 2023 is the 50th anniversary of hip hop. So this entire year in 2023, I want to create our own Final Judgment when it comes to hip hop battles. Okay. And what that means is we're going to have its own segment where, we're going to pin up a Fat Joe versus a Jay-Z, a Ja Rule, versus a Nas, right? And, and then what we'll do is we'll break down their, giving back to the hip hop community, what their top 5 or top 3, in your opinion, are, and break them down and also profile them at the same time, right? Wrestling, big love of mine, right? We're going to start doing, I will tell you this, we will do post-game wrestling shows in 2023. First one being the Royal Rumble. So if you're in on wrestling, I'll be doing right after the Royal Rumble. We will be live. Okay. And there's a couple people that are on my Rolodex that I'd love to get on to talk and break down the show and talk about it and react. I want this to be a reaction show, right? But again, I also want you guys to comment when you can, even when I'm not on a microphone, because Rich will tell you, Rich is one of the people that's followed me from day one. Rich, I love going back and forth in comments, going back and forth, talking about it, right? Not just had to be on a microphone. I love talking about it. So I want to bring that to the forefront. Again, still going to have the interviews every week, right? Getting them back up and running. Again, it's just a crazy time right now. A lot of stuff on the horizon. So please make sure you're following the Final Judgement. Make sure you're hitting the subscription button. Make sure you're hitting the like button. If you see me on social media, give me, reach out. Give me a comment. Give me some engagement. Let's keep it going, man. Yeah, exactly. Rich says, yep, we do this all the time, back and forth. Because you never know, man. You could be on the job, something flops in your head. You're like, oh, damn. But you type it up. Let it go, man. Let it go. So, yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Comments of the week. I'll put something out. And that comment can be on the show. It could be on Facebook. It could be on Twitter. It could be wherever. And I would love to, like I said, bring you onto the show the following week, get you out of the green room, get you on the show, give you the link, and then we could talk about it on air with everybody else as well. So I think it'll be fun. But yes, Jalen Hurts for MVP in my opinion. Patrick Mahomes, even though I love Patrick Mahomes and I'm an Andy Reid guy. Sorry, dog. Not this year. It's got to be Jalen. And again, I am so tired of the narrative. I think we've already explained that we have to make excuses on why the Philadelphia Eagles aren't as good as they really are. The Eagles are 12-1, man. And until you tell me a team that you feel can beat the Philadelphia Eagles, I will continue to say they're the most dominant team in all football, and they will continue to be the most dominant team in every aspect of the game. Even our special teams now is starting to finally get tweaked to the point of being serviceable. And shout out to Nick Sirianni again for bringing this all in, and together. Right? They're bringing us all in and together. Now let's look at let's go. I want to do this every episode I'm on. I love to go through the news cycle. I'm a big news cycle guy, see what's going on in the world of sports. We talked about, unfortunately, the rest in peace of Mike Leach. We talked about Prime, Kyler Murray done for the season, tears his ACL. Again, another reason why NFL players should have guaranteed contracts. I'm a big advocate for guaranteed contracts in the NFL. These guys play the most violent sport in all the world. I don't care what anybody says. The most violent sport. They deserve to be handsomely rewarded. They deserve to know that they're going to be okay when something like this happens. Because let's face it, right? Kyler Murray doesn't sign an extension, and he's a lame duck quarterback. He goes and tears his ACL. Look what happened to Earl Thomas, right? Earl Thomas bet on himself, and he tore his ACL on a one-year deal. Had to take less money in order to come back and still be dominant, but again, had to take less money because he didn't have that guaranteed deal. These are the things that you have to look at. That's why I never, ever, ever, ever hold anything against anybody in the NFL for holding out and wanting a guaranteed deal. That's something that needs to happen and need to be talked about. They're starting to get more and more to that point, elevating that signing bonus to the point where I think Kirk Cousins was like the first. It was almost a fully guaranteed deal. But the players union, and the owners need to get together and get that shit in writing and get that shit as something that is commonplace, not only for specific players. It needs to happen, and it needs to happen soon, right? That's one thing for sure. So shout out, even though I'm not a big Kyler Murray guy, I don't want to see anybody, tear an ACL, especially at this point this season. Another headline story, Marcus Mariota reportedly leaves the Falcons after he's benched for the rookie Ritter to have his knee evaluated. Team unsure if he'll return. That's very, very interesting. These are just the things that happen. Again, this is on Yahoo Sports. This is covered by Kelly Lawson Freeman, great writer, writes a lot of good stuff for Yahoo. Atlanta Falcons quarterback Marcus Mariota left the team, indication of when or if he will return. That's according to the Athletics' Josh Kendall. That's really weird, right? It's really weird. Obviously, maybe he was trying to play through something, I'm going to guess. And then when he found out he was going to be benched for the rookie, I think he probably just said, screw it. Why play through anything? Let's just go, right? Let's just go. I might as well get taken care of whatever I need to because they don't want me on the field anyway. It says Mariota's knee is nothing that has been an issue this season, but that's his prerogative to talk about it, Arthur Smith said. Interesting. Smith added on Monday that Mariota was likely to be placed on injury reserve as what Smith described as a chronic knee injury, even though he's saying it was nothing that had been an issue all season. Very interesting. This story's going to have legs and more will come out about this. But obviously, this definitely has to do with him being benched. I mean, come on, man. Like you don't even need to talk about that and think about there's any other reason why that happens. My man Leonard says, so what do you think of my man Brock Purdy in San Francisco? Sort of looks like Foles in 2013 when he came in for Vic. That's a good point, man. Again, I tweeted this out, and I'll say it again on this show. that let's talk about the names: Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy. What do they all have in common? One guy, Kyle Shanahan. We started this show and we talked about not enough people giving respect to Coach Prime, okay, for what he did in a past life. When we talk about sports being that dual athlete. But what about what Kyle Shanahan has been able to do from a coaching perspective? Right? We all said that all he did was ride his dad's coattails to get a job, right? Who was Kyle Shanahan? Would Kyle Shanahan ever be a serviceable head coach? Serviceable? He's one of the best coaches in the NFL. Look what he's been able to do. Devising game plans. That's how you win, especially when you have to bring in a guy, whether it be a backup or a rookie. You're devising a game plan around this guy's strengths. But not only that, he's giving confidence in practice sessions that elevates these guys' games, and that's why Brock Purdy, was able to come in and do what he. I mean, that was a dime he threw to Brandon Ayuk for that touchdown. That was a dot he threw, and again, who thought that he would be able to do it? A lot of the perspective was, the second week of Brock Purdy is going to be different because, again, the team had time to prepare for Brock. Well, they did, and it didn't matter. Brock still came out, and he balled out. Really, really interesting. Rich says, I think Purdy will be okay. Kyle puts his players in the best position to succeed. He commits to the run and doesn't have a quarterback sling the ball 40 times. Debo getting hurt is big for them. Yes, I agree with that. I agree with everything you said, especially like that's last part about Debo. Huge injury that's happened to Debo Samuel. And again, he is that change of pace guy for that entire offense. So that's definitely something. So again, it's a great picture I saw. I forget who reported it on Twitter. One of the reporters, she reports for the San Francisco 49ers. I hate that. I got to get her name. She reports for them, and she had a picture of them in a locker room. And what it was Kyle Shanahan. What he was doing is he was sitting down and he was talking. He was talking to Brock Purdy, right? And you could tell, he was talking about them. Actually, it was Jennifer Lee Chan who reports for NBC Sports for the 49ers. She had a picture of them just sitting in the locker room, and you could tell that Kyle was just giving him the business and the good business, right? About a fantastic start, about what to expect going forward, how much confidence he has in the young rookie to lead this team to prominence. It's a team that is talked about having Super Bowl aspirations, right? Another team. You go out, you get Christian McCaffrey, you're the best left tackle in all of football in Trent Williams, who I wanted for by the way. But yeah, I mean, listen, they have a top 3 defense. Everything about the 49ers just breathes Super Bowl aspirations. And when you can throw in a guy like a Brock Purdy and not miss a beat, that is a big deal. So, yes, Leonard, I agree. I think it was a fantastic game from Brock Purdy. And I think the best is yet to come. I think, with each win, this kid is going to get more confident. And he's got that great defense to fall back on. And, oh, by the way, a fantastic running game from Christian McCaffrey. 49ers scare me the most out of all the teams the Eagles will face. Rich says they were, listen, Rich, if you remember a couple shows ago, when they made the trade, it was a team, I said the only team I'm worried about in the NFC is the San Francisco 49ers. Nobody else can even hold a candle to us in the NFC except the San Francisco 49ers. Now let's end this show with some really cool statistics. I told you I want to bring you guys some really cool statistics. And I'm going to, again, I get press opportunities and I get releases from being a publicist and being in the, running my own PR company and booking interviews on a daily basis and talking to producers and stations. And, and again, something that was given to me by one of the producers that I'm friends with. I don't want to throw his name out there, but because again, this doesn't go to everybody. But I will say, very, very interesting. Chart comes out the 10 highest earning athletes per minute in 2022. Per minute. Okay, so these numbers I give you, and these are on the field earnings zone for any prospective sport. Okay, going to give you what they earned per minute or seconds. Very interesting breakdown. Number 10 on the top 10 list, Amari Cooper in football. On the field earnings, $38.9 million. Guess what? Every 23 minutes and 8 seconds, he gets paid $43,222. Kirk Cousins at number 9. We just talked about him being first ever basically guaranteed contract when he signed that $84 million deal. Every 20 minutes and 52 seconds, Kirk earns $47,917. Number 8 is Josh Allen. You see a run here on quarterbacks in football. Okay, $63 million on the field. He played in 1,140 minutes. He's earned $55,000, 263 for every 18 minutes and 6 seconds. So every 18 minutes, he's getting $55,000. Aaron Rodgers gets $55,882 for every 17 minutes played. Matthew Stafford gets $55,397 for every 18 minutes he plays. But here's where it's such interesting. Ryan Ramczyk, right tackle for the New Orleans Saints. For every 15 and a half minutes, he gets paid $64,500. And now we get interesting. The top 4, if you don't know who makes the most money, here you go. Number 4, Jake Paul. We all know who Jake Paul is, whether it be boxing, okay, or whether it be WWE. Every 1 minute and 28 seconds, Jake Paul makes $681,818. Yeah, you heard that right. For every 1 minute and 28 seconds, $681,000 or $681,818. $681,818. Every 1.5 minutes. What are we doing wrong? Number 3, Tyson Fury. Every 55 seconds, guess what Tyson Fury makes? $1 million. $1 million for every 55 seconds. Canelo Alvarez makes $1.4 million for every 43 seconds. For every 43 seconds. And then number 1, we all know who's going to be number 1. And this is per 2022, Conor McGregor. Every 9 seconds. Are you ready for this? Are you sitting down? For every 9 seconds, $6.6 million. Are you kidding me? $6.6 million. That's insane. Okay, that's insane. Just so you know, the highest earning soccer player is Neymar, who earns $30,000 per minute, and it only takes him 33 minutes of action to earn $1 million. So every 33 minutes, he earns $1 million. The highest earning basketball player per minute is Klay Thompson. Check that out, who earns $40,000 every minute, and it only takes him 24 minutes to earn $1 million. Amazing, amazing stuff. Like I said, I like to bring these interesting topics to you guys. And again, I'll list this in the YouTube section as well. Some really, really, really interesting numbers right there. Man, I'll tell you what, man, I miss my calling for real. Exactly, Rich. Rich says, wow. Yes. Insane. Absolutely insane. So, with that, we're going to sign off. Figure I'd give you something cool. As always, make sure you're following the show, The Final Judgement. Make sure you're giving me a follow at Cutillo23. Make sure you're following The Judgment, The Final Judgement on YouTube, on Instagram, at Judge Jigsaw. Make sure you're following the show on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed. The podcast is out there as well. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, iHeart. It's everywhere. Make sure you're tuned into that as well. Again, like I said, new shorter segments coming up, new different topics coming up. Make sure whether you're on YouTube, you're checking in, whether you're on Facebook, you're checking in. Every comment, Okay, top comment of the week will get an invite to the show the following week. Every top comment will get an invite to the show the following week to display your comment and to speak on it. That's what we do here. It's all about fan engagement, interaction. That's what we want. Got some new sponsors topping in January, which is pretty exciting to have the support of so many small businesses, whether it be virtual or locally. Can't wait for that. Some pretty big announcements coming up, which I love. It's great, and more interviews coming up as well. So make sure you keep it locked in here. And again, like I said, post game's coming. First post game for wrestling. If you're a wrestling fan, we will do post game wrestlings, and that will be for the Royal Rumble on the 28th of January. But as always, man, I appreciate everybody checking in. And again, if you're on Facebook, right, you see you see an image pop up, give me a comment. Let's talk about it. You don't agree? Great. Let's talk about it. You get involved in the show. You want to talk about a specific topic on the show? Let me know. Any questions? Let me know. Again, everybody jump in. Let's engage. Let's have some fun. We're enjoying a Philadelphia Eagles season that is going to be magical. We just enjoyed a great season for the Philadelphia Phillies. That was magical. We're going to enjoy another season for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's going to be magical. But as always, like I say, I appreciate everybody. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy. And again, some people have thoughts and some people have takes. But on this show, you get the final judgment.